So after you were wounded there, where were you taken?
First I was flown to Delta Med at Dong Ha, and they triaged me, which they looked at me, and I'm conscious, but I've got a hole through my chest big enough you could stick your fist through me and out my back. And the surgeon came up to me and he looked at the corpsman. He says, I can't do anything for this man. And then he looked at me and saw I was conscious and said, what's your religion? And I told him, and he said, get a chaplain over here. And he took off. And then I knew I was going to die from the moment I was shot. But, each time I get a little boost, when they got me back to the company, I got a little, well, maybe I'll make it. But then the senior corpsman for the company said, I can't do anything for this guy. And then the medevac bird came in. They shot the hell out of that bird, but those were Marines, and they came in to get us. And they threw me on the bird, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll make it. And the medevac corpsman stood over me, spraddle-legged, and looked down at me, and he looked at the hole in my chest, and he looked up at the crew chief and went like that, and they shoved me under the port side gunner's feet. And then I knew, well, okay, I'd lasted a long time praying for my folks, and so I felt good about that. And then we got to Dong Ha, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm going to make it. And then he said that, and then I went, oh, okay. I'd seen guys wounded like I was. They didn't make it. But I got the chaplain bending over me, praying for me, and I'm seeing my buddies come in. I'm lucky. I've got my stretchers on a sawhorse, and there were guys laying on the deck. They were just bringing in a chopper full of wounded Marines, chopper after chopper after chopper. And I remember the corpsman slipping on the deck. There was so much blood. And looking around and seeing other of my buddies that were being brought in from other platoons. And a red-headed guy walked in my line of vision, and I was always raised to be a gentleman, and you always acknowledge someone. And as he came by, I was at perfect peace. I smiled at him and nodded. And he stopped. I didn't know he was a doctor, but he stopped and he said, why isn't somebody helping this man? And I went, yeah, why isn't somebody helping this man? And then I didn't think I had any screams left in me, but he had to do something to me to keep me alive a little longer, and I found out I had one more scream stored up way down in the bottom of my feet because it came up. See, when your chest shot, you can't have any pain medication at all because it restricts your breathing. Mm-hmm. So what they did for me and Leonard Blair, my grenadier, he'd been shot in the right side of the chest. A C-130 aircraft is a 4-engine airplane. It's a big airplane. That doctor got a C-130 for just Leonard Blair and me. And they put us on that airplane with corpsmen who all their job was to keep changing out our blood bags because as quick as they'd pump it into us, it was pumping right back out. They flew us from Dong Ha to Phu Bai, which is where Alpha Med Battalion was, but they had, I can't remember what they're called, they're surgeons that specialize in working on chest. Mm-hmm. They had 2 specialists there waiting for Leonard and myself, and I was lucky. One of the guys that came, of all these thousands of Marines that are there, one of the guys that came in and grabbed my stretcher I'd been with since boot camp and was one of my oldest friends, Pat Van Buren. And when they put me under, I told him goodbye and to write my folks and let them know that I was okay with it. I was okay with dying because I knew I was going to die. And then I came to an intensive care. And I don't think anybody was any more surprised than I was. I felt really good about it.
So were you 18 or 19?
I was 19 by then. I'd been in country 11 months and 17 days. So in our unit, we said, I don't know if I mentioned this, but 1st Battalion, 9th Marines in Vietnam suffered the highest casualties of any Marine infantry battalion in the history of the Marine Corps. More than World War I, World War II, more than Korea. they bled us white. And our slogan was, "You're never short, you're always next."
Wow.
And that was usually the case.
I just don't know what to say.
I'm the luckiest man I ever knew, and I'm lucky because of my buddies, because they never let anything stop them from getting to me. As they drugged me away and the North Vietnamese were pursuing us, they would drop me and cover my body with theirs, fire back at the NVA, and then get up and grab me and drag me a little farther. And I was telling them to leave me because I didn't want anybody else to get killed because of me. And they wouldn't do it. That's why my 2 sons are named after those 2 guys.